Theater in downtown Puyallup to watch the Ventures get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The doors open here at 7 o'clock. The show begins at 8:30. After 240 albums and nearly 50 years, the Ventures tonight are finally getting their due. Before Kurt Cobain grinded out grunge, before Jimi Hendrix made his six-stringer sing psychedelic, the first guitar heroes of the Northwest were a pair of clean-cut bricklayers from Tacoma.
We're the band that launched 1,000 guitar band.
In 1960, Don Wilson and Bob Vogel kick-started the biggest-selling instrumental group in music history with a homemade single called Walk Don't Run. Now, nearly 50 years and 110 million record sales later, the Ventures, once considered themselves the Rodney Dangerfields of rock,
We don't get no respect, you know.
are finally heading into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
It's exciting to me. I mean, people say, is it exciting? Or, is, you know, yeah, it is. And I think, you know, that even if we had gotten in earlier than this, it would have been forgotten about by now, probably. And we have our 50th anniversary of the Ventures coming up next year.
The Ventures adventure begins on Seattle construction sites when bricklayers Bob and Don decide rock and roll had more to offer.
We would pick up that guitar and play it for 10 hours a day, just playing, rehearsing. No, that chord's wrong, that chord's wrong.
From a Chet Atkins album called Hi-Fi and Focus, Bob and Don discover a track called Walk Don't Run.
And he played it in a kind of a classical jazzy style, which we couldn't play it like that. We weren't good enough. So we decided that we'll go ahead and make our own arrangement of it and simplify it. And that's how that happened.
They save up $300 to record their own version and release it on their own Blue Horizon label. Nobody plays it until months later, when legendary Seattle DJ Pat O'Day uses Walk Don't Run as a news theme.
If we're playing rock and roll and we have got energized young people that are trying to create that music, why not expose them?
Walk Don't Run spreads across the country to become the #2 hit in the land. To cash in quickly, the label puts the album out before the Ventures even get a chance to pose for the cover.
Right away. Actually, these are all stockroom boys. It's not even us.
Oh, that just doesn't seem fair. In 1963, a part Russian, part Cherokee drummer named Mel Taylor joins the group.
He was one of the best drummers that I've ever heard.
At the height of Beatlemania, the Ventures are met at the Tokyo airport by thousands of screaming fans.
You couldn't go anywhere. You had to stay in the hotel. There were big crowds outside the hotel.
Because they play instrumentals, the Ventures don't have any language barriers to break. So the Tacoma Boys outsell the Beatles 2-1 in Japan. A 1969 hit cover of the Hawaii Five-O theme would be the Ventures' last hurrah in the U.S. But as their star fades stateside, in Japan the Ventures sell 50 million albums and tour relentlessly.
One year we did 106 concerts in 78 days without a day off. That will do you in.
But in 1996, tragedy would strike on a Japanese tour. A doctor finds a malignant tumor in Mel Taylor's lungs and tells Mel to go home.
And he couldn't even talk. He was in tears. So he just turned around and walked away. Got in the elevator, and that's the last time I saw him.
11 days later, Mel dies. Somehow, the band finds the courage to perform that night.
And it's amazing what you can do when you have to. You just got to shut it off. And then, you know, when that show is over, it's back to the real world. Grown men cry.
Mel's son, Leon, has taken over the drums. The Ventures still sell out shows in Japan. The honors are piling up. But one thing is always missing: induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 2000, B97 DJ Mark Christopher takes up the cause, throwing parties, getting petitions signed, citing not just sales numbers, but the venture's influence on others.
Groups like the Doobie Brothers, like Steely Dan, even Mick Fleetwood of Fleetwood Mac said the drumming of the Ventures influenced him to be a drummer, and we all know how well Fleetwood Mac has done.
It has been a relentless campaign, but finally, today, the Ventures get their due.
When I think back on, you know, when we bought those two guitars in a pawn shop, recorded Walk Don't Run, that this would happen 50 years later, it's mind-boggling to me. It's great.